High in the frozen wilderness of Hokkaido, where ancient cultures endure and the cold itself feels alive, there exists a story of survival, bloodshed, and surprisingly detailed cooking tutorials. This is Golden Kamuy, a tale beloved by many, feared by CGI artists, and responsible for at least 3 separate bear-related nightmares. And then Japan said, yes, let's film all of that. An interesting choice. Golden Kamuy has quickly become one of my favourite manga of all time. A glorious hybrid of history, violence, comedy, cooking, unhinged characters, and men who get too naked way too often. So when I got told by someone on my Rurouni Kenshin video there was a live action adaptation of the series, I had one burning question. Did it ruin Golden Kamuy? Spoilers, bears happened.
Yo guys, it's me, Charlie. Hey, did that guy just turn into sand?
Yeah, what was that?
So, Golden Kamuy, the brainchild of mangaka Satoru Noda. The series first launched in August 2014 in Weekly Young Jump magazine, accumulating 31 tankobon volumes and ending in April 2022. It's a manga that balances deadly serious war trauma with scenes of grown adults screaming "Hina!" over freshly cooked squirrel. It's a masterpiece. A weird, bloody, heartfelt masterpiece. Which is exactly why I was afraid when I found out that there was a live action adaptation. Golden Kamuy isn't just a manga. It's a story built on Ainu culture and language. Murderous convicts with tattooed treasure maps. Chaotic comedy that appears out of nowhere. And yes, bears. Very large, very angry. Bears! Oh no! Trying to adapt all of that into a film feels like trying to cook a gourmet meal while the house is on fire and you're also being chased by wolves. It shouldn't work. It can't work. And historically, manga adaptations often don't work. But Golden Kamuy is different. From the moment the trailers dropped, showcasing snowy landscapes, intense casting choices, and a bear that made me reconsider my stance on nature, the question became unavoidable. Did the live action adaptation ruin my favourite manga, or actually pull off the impossible? So, in this video, we're going to break that down. Because Golden Kamuy isn't just a wacky treasure hunt. It's a story deeply rooted in real history, real culture, and human connection. All wrapped in a blood-soaked blanket of absurdity. And to figure out whether this adaptation is a disaster, a miracle, or something else in between, we're going to look deep into it. Strap in, grab some miso and prepare yourself, because things are about to get Hina! Golden Kamuy opens in 1904, more specifically the Siege of Port Arthur, the longest and most violent land battle of the Russo-Japanese War. Wikipedia came in clutch on that info dump. I could go into more detail about the war, but really it would just go on for too long and doesn't really add to the narrative I'm trying to tell, so here's a clip just to condense it.
Wait a minute! You didn't learn how
The Russo-Japanese War.
to it. We won!
What Golden Kamuy explores is the aftermath, displacement, and a society that no longer has a place for the men it trained to kill. This is where the convicts come in. Nearly every major character in Golden Kamuy is connected to the military or shaped by it. The tattooed prisoners aren't random criminals. They're former soldiers, revolutionaries, deserters, and casualties of empire. The war didn't just break bodies. It created men who could no longer exist within normal society. Hokkaido isn't just a backdrop. It's the meeting point between Japan's expanding empire and the Ainu people, the indigenous inhabitants of the region. Golden Kamuy treats it with respect and genuine curiosity. The story gives us the Ainu language, not as exotic set dressing, but as living knowledge passed down through generations. Ainu culture isn't romanticised, but it isn't diminished either. It's shown as practical, resilient, and deeply tied to survival in the harsh northern environment, often standing in contrast to the wasteful brutality of imperial warfare. Golden Kamuy may sell itself as a violent treasure hunt, but at its core, it's a story about what happens after history moves on, and the people it leaves behind are forced to fight for something, anything, that still feels worth living for. Golden Kamuy has an absurd number of characters: soldiers, convicts, lunatics, and deeply unsettling weirdos. So, for the sake of everyone's sanity, I'm only focusing on the main cast, specifically Sugimoto's group. Because if I tried to cover everyone, we'd still be here till next year and I'd legally be considered missing. Sugimoto is our protagonist, a war veteran from the Russo-Japanese War who earned the nickname Sugimoto the Immortal after surviving the absolute hellscape of Port Arthur. He's not immortal in a cool way. He's immortal in "why won't this man stay down" kind of way. What makes Sugimoto interesting isn't just his strength, but his contradiction. He's brutal when he needs to be, fiercely protective of the people around him, and driven almost entirely by guilt and obligation. He's a man who survived war and now has no idea what to do with that survival, except keep fighting. In many ways, Sugimoto represents the core theme of Golden Kamuy, a soldier who won the war but lost everything else. Fun fact, Sugimoto is based on two real people. The first was also called Saichi Sugimoto, but with a different kanji spelling. The real Sugimoto was actually the creator Nora's great-grandfather. He was a soldier in the 27th Regiment of the 7th Division and was also celebrated as a war hero. The other person was a soldier named Hiroshi Funasaka, who received the immortal nickname after surviving many wounds, including a shot to the neck, which we do see Sugimoto get in the opening moments of the series. Oh, and he also survived a hand grenade blast in World War II. Absolute mad lad. Also, off topic for my metal fans out there, listen to the Sabaton song The Unkillable Soldier, which tells the story of Sir Adrian Carton de Wyatt, who went through a whole list of death-defying injuries, and apparently he really loved the war. So he's an even bigger mad lad. Asupa is the heart of the story. She's an Ainu girl whose knowledge of hunting, survival, and her culture becomes essential to the treasure hunt. But she's never treated as a sidekick or exposition machine. Asupa grounds the story morally and culturally, constantly challenging Sugimoto's worldview. Through her, Golden Kamuy introduces Ainu language, traditions, food, and belief systems, not as background flavour, but as living, practical knowledge. She's clever, emotionally intelligent, and quietly fearless, often acting as the story's moral compass in a world full of deeply broken adults. Also, she will absolutely judge your cooking if you try to put Osomo into the mix. Shirashi is one of the many convicts who escaped Abashiri prison, bearing part of the tattooed treasure map across his body. Functionally, he's the group's main comic relief, a shameless liar, professional coward, and chaos gremlin. He's also known as the Escape King, a title he has absolutely earned. Shirashi can escape from prison, ropes, locked doors, and situations that really should have killed him by now. If there's a way out, Shirashi will find it, usually while screaming. Side quest time! Shirashi is actually based on a real historical figure, Yoshi Shiratori, an inmate of Abashiri prison. Shiratori escaped a total of 4 times, from what was considered the most secure prison in Japan. He was the only person to ever pull that off, and he annoyed the authorities so badly that they put him in a special pair of handcuffs that took 2 hours to unlock. But Shiratori played the long game. During mealtimes, he would drip miso soup into the handcuffs and the food slot. The salt from the miso slowly corroded the metal over time. Then, one night in August, during a wartime blackout, he slipped out of the cuffs, dislocated his own shoulder like an absolute madman, squeezed through the food slot, climbed onto the rafts, and vanished into the night. I cannot stress this enough. Golden Kamuy did not exaggerate this man. I love going on random rants that add absolutely nothing to what I'm supposed to be talking about, and I'm not stopping now. If you've made it this far, first of all, mad respect. Second, you might as well like the video and subscribe to the channel. After all,
It's free real estate.
and statistically, Shirashi would approve.
Approved!
Okay, so in the comment I got about Golden Kamuy, they put in brackets, ignore the beer. I pretty much said to myself, that's oddly specific, and didn't think much to it. Also, bear in mind, oh my god, I read the manga before diving into the anime, so I get comfy, grab some snacks, and Pocari sweat like it's going out of fashion, and hit play episode 1 on my Blu-ray, because physical forever! This isn't too bad. The animation's really nice and cinematic, the voice actors all fit their characters nicely, Sugimoto looking like my boy Inspector Gadget at times, Inspector Sugi, oh look, there's a cute little cob, and oh, that's unfortunate. Okay, freeze here. Apparently the CGI beer caused a lot of people to turn away from the series because they thought it'd be filled with stuff like this. But actually it's just the bear, and maybe some odd looking fire CG. Other than that, it's not big of a deal. Even the director of the series, Hitoshi Nanba, came out with a statement about the use of the CG Kuma, stating, "Since I want the bear to emanate a different presence than the humans, I undertake the challenge of visualizing the bear as giving an unusual atmosphere using 3D. It's because when the animation is hand-drawn, we can feel the emotions of the artist in the show. It's also difficult to draw the fur sufficiently like in the original work. However, if we purely only use 3D to make the bear, there will appear parts that do not blend with the surroundings. So we're still trying to figure out how to fit it all in." Okay, so basically stating that hand-drawn the bear wouldn't look as good as it looks in the manga. Extra doubt. Continue. I'm just glad it's not a scene that lasts long, thank goodness. But now, let's get into the actual film. Okay, before I go into this film, I'm putting up a spoiler warning. If you don't want the film ruined for you, go to this time in the video. You have negative seconds to comply. Cool? Cool. The film opens up the way the anime and manga do, with the battle at Port Arthur. We're thrown straight into the chaos, showing off Sugimoto's sick rifle-swinging abilities, like a man who has completely made peace with the idea of dying today, all while screaming, "Try and kill me!" like it's a personal challenge. Right away, the film understands what Sugimoto represents. Not heroism, but someone with sheer refusal to go down quietly. Sugimoto is played by Kento Yamazaki, who you may recognise from Kingdom, Alice in Borderland, and Death Note. Not that one. Definitely not that one. There we go.
Perfection.
Yamazaki is a really smart choice here. He has the physicality for the action, but more importantly, he can sell exhaustion. This version of Sugimoto doesn't feel invincible. He feels stubborn, battered, and barely held together, which is exactly what the character needs to be. The film's director is Shigeaki Kubo, who primarily directed TV shows and music videos. I have to say he's done a fantastic job with this film, working into the favour of the production. There's a strong sense of visual rhythm, especially in how the scenes are edited and paced. I say this because I must discuss the opening battle scene. Oh my giddy god, I wish more cinemas played world cinema because the sound design and the sheer scale of this battle deserves to be felt in a theatre. The charge uphill is tense, suffocating and restless. The camera work is beautifully shot, putting you right alongside these men as they run headfirst into certain death. For a moment, the film stops being an adaptation and becomes a full-on war movie. The cinematographer is Daisuke Soma, who has worked on a number of projects, including Sion Sono's Tokyo Tribe adaptation. Tokyo Tribe, never ever die. Tokyo Tribe, never ever die. That's coming soon, I swear. It's great to see the battle portrayed in this sense, as in the manga it's only a few pages, but you feel it. The anime was under 2 minutes, feeling somewhat rushed. The film version is 6 minutes. It works because it's allowed to breathe and you can take all of it in rather than being whiplashed. What really helps the film, and honestly explains why it was received as well as it was, is the fact that Satoru Noda himself worked on the screenplay. Noda was hands-on, and you can feel that understanding of what must remain intact for Golden Kamuy to work. For the first hour of the film, it sticks to the manga well and chugs along. Then there's a few changes to keep the quick pace. So when Sugimoto and Asapa are being followed in the manga, it's just the one convict. In the film, Shirashi is tagging along. It's a small change, but it's fine. With a story as big as Golden Kamuy, and it being a starting point, some plot points from the manga can be dropped for time limitations. Don't say it, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it, don't. I'm gonna say it. The CGI bit in the film is not bad when compared to the anime. Bigger budget equals more time to develop the CGI better. That also goes for Reta. He looks believable in the film, and at moments you honestly forget you're looking at a digital animal and think he's a real trained Ezo wolf. Is it perfect? No. Is it better than expected? Absolutely. Asapa is played wonderfully by Anna Yamada. Her role as the young Ainu hunter is well acted and made Asapa feel like she was jumping out of the pages of the manga onto the screen, which is one of the hardest things a live action adaptation can pull off. Her comedic timing as well is spot on, especially the scenes when she's horrified of Sugimoto putting miso into the dishes. Their chemistry together on screen is beautifully portrayed, showing the camaraderie between them as well as the inclusion of Shirashi. The real turning point in the film is when Sugimoto goes up against the sniper Ogata of the 7th Division, played by Sonichiba's son, Gordon Maeda. The scene's aftermath introduces our main antagonist, Tokushiro Tsurumi, played pitch perfect by Hiroshi Tamaki, who also features in Kingdom, but I know him best as Kazuki Soma in Lost Judgment. Tsurumi's entrance is quietly unsettling. No grand villain reveal or dramatic musical sting. The film understands that he isn't terrifying because he's loud, he's terrifying because he's measured. Every word feels deliberate, and every gesture feels rehearsed. What makes the introduction work is restraint. It doesn't explain straight away who Tsurumi is or what he's capable of. It lets the discomfort build naturally, trusting the audience to sense that something is off and not quite right. This mirrors the manga's approach perfectly. He isn't a villain you understand right away. He's a presence you slowly learn to fear. He's also someone else who joins in on this treasure hunt, adding a new layer of challenge and danger. You know his behaviour and anger is triggered in some way, not through clear communication or an exposition dump, but as the gunk that drips down his face, part of a war wound that he received during the Battle of Mukden. And when that happens, you know it's about to kick off. Then there's the third main faction in this race to the gold, the Shinsengumi samurai Toshizo Hijikata, played by Hiroshi Tachi. Not a lot about him is brought up in the film, besides the fact he is one of the escaped convicts and is building his own alliance. The meeting of Hijikata and Tsurumi happens when Hijikata causes a diversion in the streets of Otoru to steal a katana from a bank. But it is so cool to watch. Speaking about this scene, In the manga, it takes place in Volume 4, Chapter 33, but the main story of the film covers Volumes 1 and 2, showing there is still a lot more of the story to go through. Okay, so I've just got to say this, but every bit of casting in this film is excellent. Not one person is out of place at all. All of them steal the show at least once. Now, I want to talk about the final confrontation near the end, in which Sugimoto is taken in and questioned by Tsurumi. Tsurumi wants Sugimoto to join the 7th Division, but declines, which causes him to be held captive. Great. Asapa and Shiraishi bust him out, but not before Sugimoto has already planned his own escape and been a few steps ahead. Also, I love this shot of Sugi breaking the chair. Oh, so good. Once more. That's the good stuff. Okay, so when he fakes an injury and needs to go to the hospital, Tsurumi goes and checks on one of the men Sugi killed to get out. And this is where I prefer the film version of this moment. In the anime and manga, Tsurumi talks through what Sugimoto did. The film does the wonderful act of showing, not telling. He looks up and we as the audience fill in the blanks. I love it, especially the gotcha moment of Sugimoto standing up on the sleigh. Oh, such a badass. Sugimoto and Asapa escape and the film abruptly finishes. Some people who don't know Golden Kamuy and were expecting a full 3-act structure are going to be sorely disappointed. This is pretty much a prologue / chapter 1 of the bigger picture, showing the story is just beginning. So, did the live action Golden Kamuy ruin my favourite manga? No. Surprisingly, and maybe even impressively, it didn't. The casting is near perfect. The tone is handled with care, and the film understands what Golden Kamuy actually is. Not just a violent treasure hunt, but a story about survival, trauma, culture, and the people history leaves behind. It follows the manga's major story beats faithfully, reshuffling details where necessary, but never losing sight of its core. Its biggest flaw is also its most honest one. This film knows it's only the beginning. It doesn't have a traditional middle or ending because it isn't trying to be a complete statement. It's a foundation, and when it ends, it doesn't resolve anything. It simply stops. For newcomers, that may feel abrupt or frustrating, but for fans of the manga, it feels like a promise. Because if Golden Kamuy has taught us anything, it's that the story only gets stranger, bloodier, funnier, and more human from here. And fittingly,